Okay, in this screencast, I'm going to walk through doing maybe your first contribution to Gutenberg. I'll go through my process and how to help out on a project. So if you go to issues, there is a label for good first issue. If you don't see one there, you can also search under labels, good first issue, and plenty of labels have been marked. We are up to 108 open issues, so you can help out in any of those. Today, I'm going to pick one back here. I looked at it before. This color palette. Sometimes I like to work at the end of the list because they haven't gotten any attention in a long time. And I know someone's working on that, and these two are lower priority. So look at this color palette one. And one of the best things to do, or most important things to do, is try and read through the issue and understand what the user is asking for, what the problem is, but then also go through the past history on the issue. So for this one, what they're looking for is they want a parameter they can pass in to the color palette component, and then that will get passed forward to Chrome Picker. And it just is missing here. Looking through the past history, it got picked up, and there was some work done on it previously, but it just kind of got left behind with the kind of the merge and as changes happened. If I look at their change also, I can look at what they did. They were adding this extra parameter. This part's all changed recently, so they're not. I can't just help this PR forward. I'm gonna have to kind of split it apart. There's like too much difference between what's at in master now versus what was done at this point. And so let's get to work. Let's start on it, and we'll look. This part I've glossed over a little bit, but you would need to go through and try and read just some of the past history and what people are trying to do. You can see that this change was actually approved. And so what they were doing is the right direction. It's just a matter of it ended up being, it just got outdated. So to start off, you want to fork the Gutenberg repository. Whoa. And click the fork button there. That'll create a copy of the whole repository into your own GitHub location. And then locally, you want to check that out. I've already done it here, but you check it out using something like this. And then once checked out, you want to run npm install to make sure you have all the dependencies installed. And then let's create a branch that we're going to work in. So for my branch names, for my branch names, I tend to use the action I'm going to be doing. Maybe be add, update, remove, fix, or maybe try something. And this one's going to be an update, and then I'll use the issue ID, and then I'll add in a descriptor just so I know when I'm looking at a bunch of IDs or branches, kind of which this one will, what area it might affect. So let's create a branch to work in. And then let's take a look. We're going to be doing components, source. Let's open it up there because we'll look at some of the others. And so in this one, I'm going to be looking at the color palette. Looks like I already had it open too. So in here, we want, let's look at color picker. So the color palette source, let's do this. A little more focused view. Imports color picker and the color picker, and it's by default it's hard coding disable alpha to true, so it automatically disables the alpha channel. The alpha channel is the this like fourth column in a RGB. So your colors, you can set the opacity for it. So if it's disabled, this will not show up. We can look ahead of time and see what this looks like. And run the design system dev. So we're going to work in Storybook. And now we'll be able to add a change in and be able to test out what updates we're doing and being able to see those updates as we make them without having to create a whole new environment and figuring out where else these might be used. We can just look at the component in the Storybook and it kind of isolates that one component. So this is what we want to change. We want to change this to be a parameter that someone else can pass in. So if I look at the color palette now, and we look in here, it just has a RGB, so no A, and there's not a way to change that. So let's add a way. So this is going to be pretty straightforward. We want to, what am I looking at? Default, I want to add a parameter here. Oops. Let's click where we're supposed to click. And disable alpha is going to be my parameter. Default, we want it to be true, so we're not affecting any past behavior. And then with that in there, we can change this to be, this would be explicit. We can do it like that. But if we just do it like this, it's the equivalent. So we'll just do it like that because it's a little bit shorter. And that should work. That doesn't like that at all. All right, maybe that doesn't work here. You test it out, and that if you have your, one of the things that won't go in this one, but if you use Visual Studio Code and get your linting and all that stuff set up properly, you'll get the alerts like if you're trying something that shouldn't work. So now everything's still working. I built it, I changed it, nothing's changed, so the default should still be working. I think code-wise, that's all I'm going to have to do, so it's actually a pretty easy change. But let's create a story to test it out. And there's already stories created here, so we have one. Where's my color palette? It disappeared. Oh, that's weird. Oh, it's down here. Oh, because I probably reshuffled the list I updated. We have a default and we have with knobs. So let's create a new one for disable alpha or alpha something. So this is a story. You defined, this one's not being exported. The stories exported are what will show up. And look through some of the examples. Each of the items in the storybook here will show, they'll have a stories directory and an index. It's relatively straightforward. You're just making a component and then it will display it there. So let's make a new component. This will be called with alpha, because the other ones default are changing it. So we can call this one with alpha, and we're passing disable alpha, and we'll pass that in as false. And that is all we need to do to make a story. And then we have a new story. We need more words for this, but story in here. So now if I come in, if I do custom color, if I look here, I have an alpha channel. And then if I change this, I'll change that alpha channel and give me a different color. So that looks like it is working all correct. So I think that's all the code I need to do. So let's see if we can shepherd this to a PR. I want to run a test. Okay. Okay, so the test ran and no problems, everything passed. So I am ready to commit the code. And let's take a look, make sure that only thing we changed are the pieces. And this is a little overkill, but I always do it just because committing code, you want to make sure you're doing it right. What did we change? We added in an alpha parameter and we pass that parameter forward. We defaulted to true, which is what it was before. That looks like exactly what we want to do. And this one we just added, oops, sorry. We add a new story and then that all showed up. So our changes look right. So now you want to do a good commit message. Oops, commit what's changed. And lots have been written about a good commit message. Try and make it useful. Add, disable, concise alpha parameter to color palette component. You want to keep them short to color palette. That's fine. Add the disable alpha parameter to color palette component, which is passed forward to the color picker to show. Previously it was set to true by default. And then you can put in here the issue number. If you say fixes 4726, and when it's merged, it'll close that one automatically. It's actually another reason I always include the issue number in the branch, because then I don't have to look it up. So you want to do your commit, and then you want to push that up to your branch, to your repository. I never remember that command. If I just do git push, and then it'll tell me what to run, and so then I run that. I'm lazy. It's easy to do. Then to create a pull request, it will actually give you a link here also, or if you go up to your repository, let's do this in the middle. If you go up to your repository, it'll give you a link here to do a pull request. They're both the same link. So now you want to create a pull request. The pull request is going to create your diff of code and push it up to the Gutenberg repository. So you click that. It uses your comment that you used, and then Gutenberg also has like kind of a template for what they want to see. So you want to see a description. I want to look in here again. In here you can add a little more detail. The length isn't quite as important as the commit message. So I want to add disable. I like to update color palette component to accept disable parameter, alpha parameter. So description, and it kind of tells you what they want there. Describe what you have changed or added. Adds a disable alpha around the color palette, pass forward to color picker. Fixes that. This is where you want the fixes for sure. You can get rid of the new lines. That's from the commit message. How do you test the issue? You want to describe exactly how you test it. So here you can run design system dev to view component. And what you can also do is attach a screenshot. So let's attach that. And so in here, my screenshot is, there's my alpha channel. And I have a little shortcut. Oh, let's capture a little more than that so they can see what we clicked onto in this box. All right. And then if I click there, pictures, screen caps, the last one, upload that type of change. So with that, I think I am set. I'll create the pull request, and that will automatically create the pull request and push it to Gutenberg repositories. Now this is pull request 18175. You can add some labels to it if you want. So this is components. So in there. And I added a new storybook, so you can add a storybook one there too. And that's kind of look through what's there and see how other people have named it. And then that's it. I have a pull request, and then hopefully someone will come around and review it, and it'll get merged in. One of the important things too is once you have a pull request is try not to abandon it. Try and keep track, follow your notifications. People are going to offer suggestions. I might have had some minor differences with the maybe a typo or something else. It's going to run some automated tests. These tests take about 20 minutes to run total. So make sure you get it to green. You can see if there was any errors here. You can fix those too. If one of these came back, if you click details, it'll show you what the error might be. Um, and that's it. So here's a PR. Once it gets reviewed, um, it'll get merged in, and that's a contribution to Gutenberg. So helping people out. Thanks so much. Hopefully this is useful. Bye.